Hello everyone, it is me Mandy here and welcome back to another Star Stable video. Today I'm going to be training my Embermane Flame Guardian while I talk to you guys about some stories I have as a player who started in 2012 and who grew up with this game. I started playing this game when I was around 9 or 10 years old and I have a lot of nostalgia attached to this game, so I'm excited to kind of talk about that topic today. So I'm going to train my Embermane here, Flame Guardian, and we're going to talk about that, so let's do it. So before I get started into the topic, I just wanted to throw this out there. If you've never played Star Stable before and you're kind of interested in the game, I have a link in my description that will take you off to your Star Stable adventures so you can make your character and pick out your starter horse and get going with all of the amazing things this game has to offer. So if you are interested in playing, I won't talk about it forever, but I have a link in the description for you to start playing. I guess I should just start from the beginning. I'll be honest, I recorded this video already and the audio was just horrible. So I am restarting now, but it's good because I compiled some stories that I can more quickly share with you guys now. So I guess let's start from the beginning. I remember the day I first started playing Star Stable. It's because my sister was looking for horse games for her and I, because we both really wanted to play horse games because we loved horses, and it was when Star Stable was kind of getting really popular, so I'm sure this is when it kind of started showing up in the searches, since it was like 1 or 2 years old. I think it was 1 year old, and my sister found the game. And when I tell you guys, this is kind of bad, when I first started playing the game, I used to live outside. I loved being outside so much, but when I started playing Star Stable, I did not go outside as much because I was so obsessed with playing the game. It was really bad. I loved Star Stable so much, I just like played all the time and I loved it. I vividly remember, I have like very vague memories of when I created my character and when I had picked out my horse and when I started, but I vividly remember that first quest with Justin and showing you around and talking to Maya, who was May at the time, and like I very clearly remember that quest, like it'll never leave. And like the whole quest with Jenna teaching you how to run with your horse and stuff, and all the gates and just the very early stages of the game when you first join. I very clearly remember that. Okay guys, I'm gonna be so honest with you right now. While I was filming that, a wasp flew by my head because I've had a wasp in my room all day and I lost him, and I knew I was gonna find him tonight and he just flew by my head as I was filming. So I'm gonna keep an eye on him. He looks like he's dead now. Sorry, I'm so distracted now. Wasp flew by my head. But I was talking about the start of Star Stable and how vividly I remember it. And I remember that like opening screen so clearly, and for some reason I remember the Sealed with a Kiss quest so clearly with Jasper. It was like one of the first Jasper quests. That's the quest I think of all the time when I think of the early quests. I have no idea why. And also the Bobcat race with Loretta. I think that's pretty much the same now. I think they might have added a little bit to that whole quest with Loretta. But let's talk about, oh my gosh, can we talk about how mean Loretta was back in the day? They made her nicer than she is now, or they made her nicer than she was back in the day, because she was like kind of nasty to everybody and she didn't really want you in the Bobcat Girls. And I remember her being like, okay fine, you can be in the Bobcat Girls, after like you had to prove yourself to her. And now I feel like she's way nicer, so that was like definitely a thing. Another thing I remember, since the Equestrian Festival's out, I think it's perfect time to mention this. The Midsummer Festival was a lot of fun, and I remember, I don't know if it was the first Midsummer Festival they had, but it was the first one I went to, and I remember it being so exciting that there was like a Star Stable event that was like kind of not so as much to do with horses. Obviously I loved the horses and that's why I play the game, but I remember loving the Midsummer Festival, and part of me wishes they still did that because it's very like fitting as a Swedish game. I just loved that they did this Midsummer Festival, but it's crazy to think about how much the events have evolved since the start of Star Stable, because I think I have a video of the Midsummer Festival. If I do, I'll put it in, but that's what the Midsummer Festival looked like when I played and when I first started, or when I first went to the event. And they really only had like the frog dancing and like the midsummer like pole and the flower crowns, and they might have had like a table you could go to and a big fire pit, but that was about the extent of it. Now we have so much stuff like dressage, we have like multiple locations and shops, and all the characters are there. Like, it was a lot smaller than it is now back in the day. But I still remember it being so exciting to go to the Midsummer Festival. It was always just it was always so cool. I feel like, at least in my experience, from what I've seen with games evolving and growing and releasing and stuff, like Star Stable was really probably one of the first big horse games out there, at least made more for like a kids audience, an audience of kids. And now I feel like it's kind of an audience for, like, you can be a kid or an adult, because like I'm an adult now and I still love Star Stable, so it's a good mix, a good range of ages. Also, I need to make a whole separate video on this, but when I tell you guys, I was so obsessed with the Soul Riders and with Star Academy, or Starshine Legacy and Star Academy. Like, I wanted to know it all, and I literally bought clothes that matched Lisa's outfit when it was before she was updated. So this was like the old Lisa. She had like the blue jacket with the yellow, she had the short spiky hair. I got the short spiky hair, got the jacket, and I went all in and I just ran around as Lisa, and it was like the best. I just loved it so much, and I was so obsessed. I remember before her last name was Peterson, I dug up like some bios that she had, I think from the Star Academy games, and her last name was Karchamova at the time, and now it's Lisa Peterson. But I remember digging up all those old last names as well. But I wrote so many fan fictions, so if you guys want to like see a video of me reading them, they're pretty funny, and there's just like lots of little pieces of fan fictions. I never wrote entire ones, but they were pretty funny. Like, I would love to reread them with you guys, because I just loved writing fan fictions of those characters too. Like, yeah, I was very much so a fangirl. Also, another thing I remember very clearly is when Harvest Counties came out. It was the big hype of the game. Everyone was so excited for a new area to come out, because Star Stable hadn't really done new areas at the time. This was the first big new area that they added, and I remember the bridge to Harvest Counties being broken for like ever, and you couldn't pass. And I remember us like trying to glitch over, which I don't recommend doing that, trying to glitch over to areas that aren't created in Star Stable yet. But back in my rebellious era, I tried to get over across the bridge, even though there was nothing over there. And I remember the whole quest to repair the bridge, and it was just like such a big, exciting moment to unlock Harvest Counties. And I can still feel the feeling of being there for the first time. I was so content in just cantering around the world as a kid. I didn't need any other form of entertainment in Star Stable. And I remember when Harvest Counties came out, and I would just canter around, and having the like fields, the like wheat fields and the sunflower field, that was like huge in Star Stable. Like, it was like so cool that they added that. And they had the new music too, and that new music is like so nostalgic to me now. It just takes me right back to that time. Also, it was funny because we couldn't figure out like if it was Harvest Counties or Harvest Countries. That was like a big like debate. It wasn't really a debate, but I remember seeing like people pronouncing it differently, and we kind of had to figure out what it actually was. And then I also remember when Epona came out as well. That was a little bit later in the Star Stable world. It's a little bit later, but I remember that was exciting too. I remember when I got Star Rider, Lifetime Star Rider, and I played Star Stable for a while without being a Star Rider, and I loved it. I had a lot of fun, but I remember just wanting to see more of the world, and I got a lot of like, whenever the codes came out for like Star Rider deals, where you could have like a week of Star Rider, a few days of Star Rider, I would love that. And back in the day, I think you can do this now, you couldn't jump if you were a non-Star Rider. So there would always be like this yellow text that popped up and that said like, you can't jump because you need Star Rider. And I was like, oh no. So whenever those deals came around, I was so like, it was exhilarating to be able to jump. I remember being so excited. And then when I wasn't Star Rider anymore, I was like, oh shoot, Rosea forgot how to jump. What a shame. So that was always, that's a fun little memory. But I remember when I got Lifetime Star Rider, it was after I went on vacation and my parents told me that I could get Lifetime Star Rider after vacation, which like, that is like so nice to like come back from vacation and like, I already had a great weekend at the beach, or a week at the beach, and then I get Lifetime Star Rider. Like, my parents are the best. But I remember getting it on an old laptop, which, wow to that laptop for running Star Stable, because I played Star Stable on it all the time. And I remember getting Lifetime on there for the first time, and I just the feeling you had getting a Lifetime Star Rider. I went to the Lifetime shop, like, just the memories are just like too much for me to handle. Oh, I also remember when the Fairies came out, and that was huge too, because you had the trailers, and at the time I can't remember if non-Star Riders could ride the trailers, but the Fairies, when the Fairies came out, it was so funny. We all loved like doing the role play in Star Stable, so I just went in a complete circle because I didn't know where I was going. We all loved the roleplay aspect in Star Stable. I feel like roleplay was just such a big thing back in the day. Like, Global Chat would always just be like literally so active with like people promoting and being like, join my club, join this roleplay. And it might just be because I'm on like a smaller server, but it was just like, it was always active, Global Chat. And it might again just be my server, but yeah, it was really fun. I remember I used to always promote my own role plays because I loved doing family role plays. For some reason, I just loved it so much, and I would always scream in Global Chat like, family role play. It was always at Fir Grove in that little house. And I remember I would say like, say Rose to join, because that was my starter horse's name. And I always like loved role playing family role plays with people. I'd always be the mom because I just loved that touch of realism. And oh, it was so fun. But what was I saying about? I was literally just talking about the Fairies, and I forgot to finish my story. But we loved to have, or everyone just loved to like get in the roleplay zone. So I remember when the Fairies first came out, it was a big deal. So many of us, I did this as well, we would stand at the front of the fairy and kind of be like the worker there, and we would be like, all right, next, if you're boarding for Golden Hills, that's the next ferry. And like we would just do that for like ever, and it was like so entertaining. And I remember being so like happy that other people were doing it too, and we would just like pretend to work there because the fairies were new and it was exciting. It was a fresh update in Star Stable. And speaking of this waterfall, I remember the quest behind the waterfall with Dark Core, now that I think about it. Oh my gosh, nostalgia. With clubs in Star Stable, I really don't remember that many like dressage clubs. I used to play dressage or do dressage a lot in Star Stable with a friend of mine and my sister. We would do dressage lessons all the time at like Moreland. This was even before I was Star Rider, so we started doing it at Moreland, and eventually we moved on to, I think, Golden Hills. But we didn't really go to the riding hall a ton. I remember a few times, but there really wasn't that much popularity around dressage in Star Stable at the time, unless I just didn't see it. But a lot of the big clubs, I remember when the clubs started coming out, those really popular ones, because there would usually be like a really famous Star Stable YouTuber in the clubs, and they would just get a lot of fame, and I knew I would never be able to get into these clubs because like they were the big deal. And I just don't specifically remember there being dressage dedicated clubs, or really, I think it was more of just like big groups of people in clubs, and like they would still take their club pictures and stuff and all that. But yeah, I don't remember there being like clubs, or at least that many clubs with like particular themes. Clubs are such a like big thing now in Star Stable, and I would love to be in like a really like serious Star Stable club, but I just like don't have the time. But I made my fair share of clubs back in the day, but they never really worked out. I remember I made quite a few, and I'll be really dedicated for a day and then I wouldn't really go through with it. But clubs were a lot of fun. It was more like just kind of large groups of people, and there weren't really much, like there's a lot more to the clubs now. They did a lot of updating with the clubs, but yeah, back then it wasn't so big of a deal. Whoa. I do not remember jumping over the waterfall before. That is definitely new. I do not remember that. And the look of the characters is obviously so different now. It's even more different than what we had before the big character update. It's like we looked so different. It was all just so different. The sounds were so different. The music, they still have a lot of the same music, but they have a lot of new music too. And there's just a lot of updates have gone on since I started playing, which is crazy. And yeah, I remember like just logging onto Star Stable and just playing for hours, and I honestly would just enjoy the game. And like, even if I wasn't questing or training or doing anything with any sort of objective, I just liked being in the game. Now as a content creator, it helps me play the game, making videos. Like, as an adult, you get, you know, life gets busy and you don't have as much time for games, but being a content creator is really helpful to actually get me into games. So yeah, but looking back at my childhood and like seeing that I really didn't do much, I just enjoyed the game, is like really sweet. Yeah, there's so many stories, and I love Star Stable now. But just the look of it and everything, and I made a video on this a few months ago about how I feel like Star Stable's changed, and honestly the biggest thing is that like I'm just not a kid anymore, and the game does look very different, and I still love it, but biggest thing is like I've grown up, and looking back it's just very nostalgic now. So that's really the biggest reason why Star Stable feels different for me. But there's so many fun stories that I have, and it's so much fun. So with that being said, that is all I have for you guys today. I want to do more of these Star Stable training videos because I want to really level up my horses. So if you guys have any topic ideas, it doesn't have to be related to Star Stable, let me know what they are and I will be sure to include them in one of my training videos. But with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you guys, and Flame Guardian appreciates it as well. If you want to try out Star Stable, again, there's a link in my description. And that is all. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.